We're live. Okay. So, we always start by having a little conversation. I really don't like the way this. Yeah. Can we pull it back a little bit, Michelle? Sorry, everybody at home. That's better. Okay. So, we were talking about self-love before we went live, before Michelle got here and Donna got here. So we're going to go over it again because it's much needed. So one of the things that I have been saying, and I'm going to say it again just because it doesn't hurt to get reminded of it, is that there is nothing outside of you that is going to make you happy. There's nothing outside of you that will make you happy, make you balanced, make you peaceful. Nothing. It comes from inside of you. And it comes from caring about yourself, loving yourself, being kind to yourself. And we spend a lot of time talking down to ourselves, talking bad about ourselves. And we do it a lot. And I know it because I hear it. I hear it from everyone. And it doesn't help you. You have to practice at loving yourself. And so when I say tell yourself the truth is you are good enough just exactly like you are. Just exactly like you are. You're good enough. You're not better than anybody else. You're not worse than anybody else. You are perfectly fine. You're good. You're balanced just the way you are if you allow yourself to be that. But many times we go through life and we think, I want to be like that person. I want to be like this person. If I could only get to the point where they are, right? If I could just get that, then I'll be okay. But the truth is, you're okay. You don't know you're okay. And so you tell yourself all these stories about how you're not good enough and how you're not this and not that. And so I'm saying stop telling yourself those stories because they're not true. I know these things because I did it. So I can speak to it. I can speak about it clearly because I was there for most of my lifetime. I was self-loathing. I didn't care about myself. I thought everybody else was better than me. And it got bad. At points in my life, it got really bad. So I can speak to it. I can look at someone and go, I know what they're thinking. And I do know what they're thinking. I'll speak it to them and they'll go, yeah, that's true. Right? Mm-hmm. Because I have done it. I lived that before. So I had to come to a point in my life where I started telling myself a truth about myself. And the truth is, I am good enough. I'm good enough just like I am. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not worse than anybody else. I am good enough. And the more we talk to ourselves kindly, see, when you think you're better than somebody else, that's trouble too, right? Mm-hmm. That's trouble. Mm-hmm. It's not a truth. And when you think you're worse than someone else, that's trouble. It's not a truth. So we spend our lifetime. Now, Master Boomney told us such a time. That's tell yourself the truth. He's not talking about telling other people the truth because it really doesn't matter what you say to someone else. Because whatever you're saying to them, you're saying inside of you. So if you speak the truth, such a time is truth. Speak the truth inside yourself about yourself. See, stop thinking that you're not good enough. That's a lie. That's a lie that we tell ourselves on a regular basis. But it's not a truth. And if you can start to just every day, whenever you, and I'm going to tell you how to do it, see, because it takes practice, because we've spent many years doing the opposite. So it takes practice. So I'm going to tell you how to practice it. Whenever you say something negative about yourself, whether it be out loud or in your mind, because when you're speaking in your mind, you're still speaking. Okay? So whether it be out loud or in your own mind, whenever you say something negative or something that is hurtful about yourself, you take it back and you speak something kind. I don't care if you have to say, oh, I took a good breath just now, right? I don't care what it is. You have got to start replacing those negative thoughts, those things that you're saying that aren't true about yourself. You've got to start replacing them with kindness to yourself. See, each and every one, everybody, even people who are online, people who are here, everybody has a kind heart. You have kindness towards everybody else but yourself. And that is where the hiccup happens. That's where the stop in your progress goes. Because when you're kind to other people, but you're saying unkind things to yourself, it stops your progress. Because then you start feeling bad about yourself. Now, if you were speaking with someone and someone was talking the same things that you say to yourself, if they were saying them about themselves and saying them to you, you would be like, no, don't say that about yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You would say, don't say that. Be kind to yourself. This is where we need to start. See, I say it every week, but I'm trying to help you start. Because it's a hard process sometimes for us to actually learn to love ourselves. It's a process. But the truth is, when you do, things happen in your life that you cannot even imagine. And I don't even want you to imagine, because I want you to stay in this present moment right here, right? I want you to stay present with yourself. See, what happens is we start thinking about something that we did, right? And our mind goes to that something. And then we start telling ourselves, oh, we shouldn't have done that, right? And we say these things to ourselves. And then we start to suffer over that something that happened that's not happening right now. That's already done. It's finished, right? You did it or said it for a reason. You know what that reason is? It's a teaching tool. It's teaching you. So we say things so that our inner self can learn, right? We're learning what not to do, right? Truth. This is true. I had to learn it. I had to go, I didn't think about that before I said it, right? I didn't think about it. Now I do. I think about things, okay? When I speak, I think about what I'm going to speak. I'm mindful about what I'm speaking inside myself. Because you speak it inside yourself first, right? That's what happens. You have a conversation inside your mind first before it comes out here, And a lot of times, anger gets involved with the thoughts that you're having inside your mind. Your anger gets involved, and then it escalates inside of you. And then you go into a place that you really don't want to be. But it's okay. That happens. It's teaching you. So you can take it as a teaching and you can go, okay, that happened. Now, why did that happen? It happened so that I wouldn't do this again because I didn't think about it. Now I know, okay, so I can let that go. See, you have to recognize your thoughts. Like you really have to pay attention to your thoughts because they will run crazy on you sometimes, right? They do. They run a little crazy and then you have to rein it in. You have to go, wait a minute. And my mind just went somewhere and I was not even present. Right? I mean, it happens, right? I wasn't even present. I was like in La La Land. I don't even know who's in front of me because my mind was going in La La Land, right? Mm-hmm. That happens. You can be driving a car and not even know where you went because your mind was going somewhere else and you weren't present, right? That happens. So you have to start to pay attention to what your mind, and it takes practice. So you just practice at it. It's okay that you don't do it on a regular basis, right? It's okay because you're learning to do it on a regular basis. So what do you have to do to learn something? You have to practice it over and over and over again. I'm trying to learn Thai, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to learn Thai, right? They got all these tonal things that you don't, if you say it with a high tone, you're saying something totally different than if you say it with a low tone, And so, but it takes practice. I have to practice at it in order for me to be able to speak it, right? Yeah, I just can't. Okay, I'm going to speak Thai now. It's the same with this. We have to practice at being kind to ourselves. We have to practice at what we're saying inside our minds. Because our minds will run if we let them. They'll just chatter, chatter, chatter. And next thing you're like, wait, what? What's going on? What did you say? Right? Sometimes you have to ask somebody, hey, having a whole conversation with you, and you have to stop and go, wait, what did you say? Because I was in my own head right there. Yeah, that's true. It's true, right? So that is not being present. That's not being in this present moment. That's being somewhere else, right? And most of the time when we're in our own mind, we're either thinking about what we did maybe 10 minutes ago or an hour ago or 2 weeks ago or, 3 years ago, whatever, or we're thinking about what's going to happen in the future. So I'm going to give you a news flash, and y'all already know it. You do not know what's going to happen in the future. I don't care how much you think about it. You're not going to know. You can't. You just will not. So stop thinking about it because it creates suffering. The past, you've already dealt with that. You've dealt with it one time and probably didn't like it. So why you want to bring it back and deal with it again, right? Like this is the conversation you have with yourself. Well, I didn't like that the first time I did it. Why am I bringing it back and talking to myself about it? I don't need to talk about that. I'm done with it, right? That's all. Really, if you have that conversation with yourself, then you'll start being done with it. No, I didn't like that the first time it happened. I don't need to think about it today. And the more we tell ourselves that, the more we do it. But you have to practice. You have to catch yourself. You have to be aware of what's going on in your mind. What are you saying to yourself? Be aware of it. And if it's not something kind, replace it. Flip the script on it. Don't let yourself run rampant, giving yourself all kinds of, what? It's not worth it. Be kind. Be loving. We do it with everyone else. This is the key. Metta, right? Satchitam. Patience, Kantitam, right? We have to be patient. See, I'm going back through, but there's a reason Master Boomni told me those things. I didn't know what he was saying, right? I couldn't speak Pali. I didn't know what he was saying. But he was saying it over and over and over, had me write it down. Got this little book I would write in when I'd sit with him, and I flipped through the pages, and like every other page, Sachatam, Metatum, Kantitum, Wadiatum, Obekatum. Do it. That's what he'd say. These are all things that if we do them, we will find balance. We will find peace. Right? Mm-hmm. Truth inside ourselves. What am I thinking? You don't have to dwell on what you're thinking. So you can just go, what am I thinking? Bring yourself into the present and let the old go. Just like that. Do it really quickly, because if you do it slow, you're going to attach to the past. And then when you attach to the past, you're in suffering. So you have to do it quick. Now, if you didn't do it quick and you're in suffering, then you have to say to yourself, oh, I'm in suffering because I was thinking about the past, right? You have to speak it to yourself. I was in suffering because I was thinking about the past. And I don't want to be in suffering anymore, so I'm going to let the past go. Let me bring myself into this present moment, right? What is this present moment? What's happening? Sometimes you have to say to yourself, what is happening in this present moment? What am I doing? What am I doing right now? See? And as soon as you start saying that to yourself, you have already released the past. Because you can't think of two things at once. It's impossible, right? So, but if you let yourself go back there, then you got to bring yourself back here again. And you say, what am I doing? You know, sometimes clap your hands. Bring yourself right here, right now. See, when you do that, you've got to do something in this present moment, right? You're doing something in this present moment to bring yourself back here. Because your mind will be in la la land for a long time if you let it. Right? It'll go and you'll just be like, oh, what was happening? Right? I mean, like, you will go and you won't even know. How do I know this? Because I've done it before. But if you're in this present moment, suffering cannot come in. You know? I had a lot of, and each time I was like, oh, that's okay. I had an agent call me 3 or 4 times about a closing that was supposed to happen. And she was so kind, you know, and her buyer was buying the house I had listed. And she's like, the lender told him the wrong amount. And then now he had to come up with over $3,000 that he did not have. Right? And most agents would go ballistic on this because it was 4:00 on a Friday afternoon. What can you do at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon? I said, well, you call the lender and get some lender credits because you can do that. And I said, and then call me back. So she called me back and she got $1,000 from him. So I said, okay. So it is what it is, right? We needed to come up with $2,000. It is what it is. I said, I'll split it with you and we'll get this thing closed. So you know what my thinking behind that was? Number one, I didn't want to upset my sellers because they're in their 70s, 60s, and 70s, and they've been dealing with this and they didn't want to deal with it anymore. Number two, whatever I get is more than I had. Right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter. I didn't have that $1,000 anyway. Right? It was coming in a commission. So I had never gotten that $1,000. So I gave it because I never got it anyway. How can you miss something you never had? Right? So I was like, yeah, okay, this is what we'll do. And she's like, okay, right? Because she didn't know that I'm in peace. And nothing in this world will take me out. Nothing. I don't care how much more I cost, because I want to be in balance. I like this peace. I didn't have it before in my life, right? I did not have it. Many of you have known me when I did not have it. There is nothing in this world that is worth my peace. Nothing. So if you can remember, I can be in peace in this moment in time. This moment right here. Because nothing is happening right now. What's happening? We're sitting in a room together, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all that's happening. No matter what's happening outside of you, it doesn't matter. Now, some people would say, well, that's kind of cold, right? That's not very nice. So I'm going to go through this scenario, okay? Because I think it's important for people to realize that it is nice. You know, it's nice that you take care of yourself. You take care of other people a lot. All of us do, right? But it's important to take care of yourself first. And so if something is happening to someone else and you start to suffer over what they're suffering over, then we got two people suffering. What good is it? None. It doesn't do any good for you to suffer over someone else's suffering. Zero. It doesn't do any good. But what will do good is if you're in balance and you can provide balance and peace. So y'all suffer all the time, right? Not all the time, but y'all suffer a great bit, right? But I do not suffer with you.
You can't. Like my mom today, she came to the house.
Yes.
She's suffering over something that's happening to someone that she knows.
Yes.
Like she is suffering. And finally I just had to say, you know, Mom, that's okay. You go ahead and go home. I was trying to be nice and be like, oh, let's go get our toast done. She didn't want to come out of it. So I said, okay, you have a good day.
Right.
And I had to walk away from it. I didn't want to go there.
Yes.
Wouldn't mind.
That's right. And it's not your responsibility to get her out of it.
No.
You cannot.
Nope.
Nobody can get anybody else out of their stuff.
Nope, because she did not want to come out.
Right. Exactly.
I got a full frontal face of being in it, and I was like, oh.
So, you know, but that happens. That happens with people who, I don't know what that thing was, but that happens with people who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It happens with people who do know.
Right? I know.
Yes, it happens all the time. And we have to just let them be. We can say, you know, hey, you know, you're done with that, I'm here. You know, you're here anyway. Like you were there for your mom, but if she's not wanting to come out, then
there's nothing I can do.
No.
I'm not going to go suffer with her.
No.
It doesn't sound like a good time to me. It's not going to do me any favors.
No.
So I was like, all right, well then I'll see you later.
Yes. And there's sometimes when I will hang up the phone. If I'm talking to somebody and they want to be in their suffering, I'm like, okay, I'm going to hang up. I warn them, I'm going to hang up now. I'm going to hang up. So, because you want to be in that right now. So you can call me when you're out of it. Because I can't help you. You don't want it.
Yeah.
You know? And that happens. But then people come out of it. But they have to do it on their own. And that's a prime example of people, you cannot do it for someone else. You cannot. No matter what you do, you can't do it for them. You have to do it for you. And most of the time we're trying to do it for somebody else and not for ourselves. Sounds funny, but it's true, you know. We're trying to, you know, help someone else get out of their stuff. And we're in our stuff. We're already in our stuff. And we're trying to help them get out of their stuff, and we're not out of our stuff, you know? So it's a process. It's a process. And the way to start the process is forgiveness. And you have to do that for yourself. See, throughout our life, we've done things that we haven't forgiven ourselves for. This is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, forgive yourself. You know, picture yourself as your best friend, because you are. So if you have to call yourself by name, so you say, Kim, you know, I forgive you. No matter what you've done, I forgive you. It doesn't matter. See, it's a process. And we've done this little thing before, but then now time has passed. So there's things that we've done, right? There's things we've done that have created suffering inside of us. So now we have to forgive ourselves again, right? It's an ongoing process. It's never ending. Don't think that this is going to end. You know, it's an ongoing process. It's life. This is life, right? We're in a world where it's an ongoing process of things that we have to continually do to keep ourselves in balance. Continually. You know, every single day of my life, I do things to keep myself in balance. Every single morning, I don't go out of the house till I do some things to keep me in balance. You know, I meditate every day. Every day. Every day. Why do I do that? Well, for me, it brings me in balance. You know, I meditate on kindness inside of my heart. That I have that inside of me. You know, bring it in. Let me have that and let me spread it. You know, this is what I do every single morning. I have to do that because I'm going out into a world of chaos. So every single morning, I take care of myself first before I go into the world of chaos, because then I have the strength to deal with all the chaos that's going on. And I tell you, there's been, all kinds of things going on, just one right after another. And I just go, okay, it doesn't really matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because it is what it is. Like, whatever happened, like, let's take that buyer, for instance. So he didn't have $3,000. Well, that is what it is. Like, he can't go to the bathroom and come out with $3,000, right? No. So that was what it was. I couldn't change that fact, right? But I could help a brother out. That's all it is. It's just paying attention, knowing that things are what they are. They are what they are. Your mom's in her stuff. That is what it is. That's her stuff. Let her be in it. It's okay. Things are what they are. You know, I went and got my car worked on. Cost me $243. They charged me twice. But they didn't know it. I like this little place, and they don't charge me very much. I had a lot of stuff done, and they didn't charge me very much. But when I called them back, I knew what had happened. You know, I knew it was an accident. And so I called them, and I was like, you know, there was a little mishap, and I'm going to tell you that I already know it wasn't on purpose, but, you know, I got charged twice for that stuff. And he goes, and I said, so let me give you the transaction numbers, because it had two different transactions. So I gave it to him, and, you know, he called me, but he said, let me look it up and I'll call you back. He called me back, and he goes, yeah, you're right. We credited it back. I'm so sorry. I said, no problem. I like you guys. I know y'all are honest. So it's no problem. He was shocked. You know, most people, they have an extra double charge on their card. They're going to go like, you know. But I knew that in my heart that was a good place, and they weren't doing it on purpose, you know. So it was not a problem. And me being kind about it made them kind to me. And it was not, it just flowed. See, anytime anything happens, $243, that's a lot of money to me, right? And I'm like, I look at my thing and I was like, oh, I think I was on the phone with Vanessa. I was like, oh, they double charged me. I'll have to call them in the morning. You know, I didn't get upset. Did I get upset? No, because I knew it is what it is, right? Like there was nothing I could do about it at that moment in time. But in the morning, I called, they worked it out, everything's fine. But if I would have been ticked off, that would not have done anything except for hurt people, including myself. It makes your blood pressure go up, it makes things crazy, it makes other people like they can feel that energy coming off of you and they're like, they get crazy too because they don't know what it is. You know, it's a whole thing. But if you just stay here now, this moment, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. You're right here. See, it's trying to come in, but we didn't let it. So the more you do this, the more you practice at being present, at knowing what your thoughts are. If you start to get angry, say to yourself, why am I angry? Why am I angry? You know, what is it that I think this anger will do? You gotta, I mean, you need to speak to yourself. Be the voice of reason inside yourself. Right?
And then I have to let it go because then I criticize myself for having it.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. And then tell yourself what a beautiful soul you are. You know, we all, like, there is not a human being on this earth that has not gotten upset about something. You know, that this is truth.
Mhm.
And probably about 85 to 90% still do. Right? Like you're in the majority when you get upset and angry. So we're trying to flip that script. And even if you say to yourself, why am I getting angry? Yeah, but don't criticize. This is your learning. See, that's what you say to yourself. Oh, I'm teaching myself today. Look at that.
Nice lesson or something like that.
Yeah.
See it positive.
Yeah. Yes.
In court yesterday, and they was talking about like we were having a bunch of drug cases and people like talking about how the choices that they made brought them to where they are now. And people in the court afterwards were talking about like, oh, I just can't believe these things. And I was like, I was thinking about it. I was going to sleep. I was like, these people were so upset for these other people, but it didn't make sense to me because I'm like, these people made the decision, like they were given the choice to whether or not to. For this one guy, it was either be in pain or take drugs to not be in pain. And he chose to not. He went down this path. And I was like, so he had opportunities to go a different way. And he said just the, I don't want to say consequences, but like this is just the parameters of the situation he's in now. And this is just kind of how it happened.
Every action has a reaction.
Yeah, and I was like, people are like, oh, aren't you upset like with like all these things? And I was like, no, like here I am. I'm in the same position where I'm making a choice. Do I get upset or do I not? Because if I get upset, then I'm kind of going down the same path he is. And I was like, so no. And I was thinking about that when I was asleep. And then today I found out this guy I went to high school with died in a car accident yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was telling me about it. And she wasn't upset or anything like that, even though she was really close. And she's like, I just don't want to be upset about it. And I was like, yeah. Me too. I don't want to be upset about it.
Right.
I don't have to be upset about it. I mean, he's
Right,
dead.
because death is part of life.
Nick Smith. He's a kid. But to me, I was more surprised at the fact that I was surprised. I was like, oh. I keep on forgetting, death happens to young people.
Right.
Like, and that's just kind of like,
It happens, and we never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of, you know, the more you say to yourself, you know, everything in this world is impermanent. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. See, and if this is huge when you understand that, you know, even our thoughts, they come in, they go, they come and they go. Sometimes we cling to them a little bit longer than other times, but you can let it go at any point, because that is life. That's the cycle of life. Death is part of life. We start dying the minute we're born,
Yeah.
you know.
Growing
So
every day.
it's just a process that we're going through. And if you're sad about it, then for what?
it's just kind of like, I don't know, to me it seems so strange, like, is it just a natural part of life? Like, do people cry every time that their stomach, like, is hungry? It's like, no, it's just part of life. You have to eat. Like, why would we be upset? It was this natural step of, things we don't cry when plants die, or,
Right?
I mean, I don't think.
Well, some people
Some people
may.
do.
I don't
Like,
know.
personally, I don't. But, like,
Some people may, but you know,
Yeah.
it's part of life. And some people do get upset. Some people do cry. Some people do, you know, and that is an emotion that basically we've been taught to have our entire life. You're supposed to be sad. Why are, you know, you'll hear people, why isn't he sad about his wife dying? What's wrong with him?
yeah,
You know?
Yeah. Major judgments
Yeah.
about it.
it's
Yeah.
often used
Especially if
like,
it's a husband
in
and wife.
court
Right.
too. Like, people will use it against the defendants, and like, well, he was not crying when the judge was talking about how he did this thing or all this stuff, or they were just, you know, they didn't seem like they cared. And I was like, I really don't think we should use that against them when punishing a person, because like that just is. I was like,
But you know, Anna,
so
I'm going to
strange.
tell you that when you're in the world, okay, like your job, for instance, and the judge is going to use that stuff. You know, they are in you. There's nothing. So in life, you have to learn that you have to let them be them, and you have to let them do what they need to do, even though it may not make sense to you.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that because I was like people are they bring themselves to where they are by the choices that they've made.
Right.
And I was thinking, I was like, well, judges have a very interesting role because they're the ones who set the parameters that are going to push that person to either grow and to be different, like I don't want to say correct their actions, but to grow as a person, like of life lessons they're supposed to do. And I was like, that's a weird place to be where you're the person who gets to set the guidelines in which that person can either choose or not to choose to grow. And I'm just like, I was thinking about that and I was like, I don't know, that's
Yeah,
an odd.
you know, you don't have to think about that too much.
Yeah, I was like, that's
You
I fell asleep
actually, you can let that go.
Okay.
Okay, you can just let that go because it's not helping you. What's it
Yeah.
doing?
No, it's just confusing.
Yes.
I don't know.
And this is the world. So I'm going to say there are things in this world that you, number one, have no control over. Most things in this world you have no control over. None. Zero. The only thing that you have control over is yourself. And most of the time we don't take control of ourselves. We try to control the outside instead of doing the inside. So I'm going to say, let that go. If you work on letting it go. You may not be able to let it go right away, but you need to work on that because nothing outside of you can you change.
Mm-mm.
You can only change you.
Your response to it.
Yes.
It's just like anger has been a big one on my brain lately because the kids will do something, I'll get angry. But why? They're not making me angry. I'm doing it to myself.
Yes.
So why do I stay angry?
Yes. It's
so weird, right?
I'm going to tell you, most of the
crazy?
time we get angry about something that we have done ourselves.
Yeah.
that we have done ourselves. And so, and we may or may not do it anymore, and that aggravates us. Why are they doing that? Right? But you've done it yourself before. So in this, we have to practice forgiveness, forgiveness of ourselves. We don't have to go back and think about that we did it. But most of the time, that's why we're angry. We see something in them that's in us. That's why we're angry. We're seeing a reflection of ourselves.
Yeah, and having 2 small children, man, it's really hard. It's right in your face.
Yes. But it's okay. So you have to learn to, forgive yourself. I mean, really, bottom line, it's forgiveness of yourself. And when you forgive yourself, then that stuff that goes on isn't going to matter anymore. You're just going to be like, oh, okay. But as long as we hold it inside of ourselves and we're still angry with ourselves about those things, then we get upset with other people too. And then really that's what happens inside of us.
Makes sense.
Yes. So it's a process. This whole journey is a process. And it can be one of the most beautiful adventures of your life. Trust me. It really can. But there's things that you have to do in order for that to happen. You have to forgive yourself. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to be in the moment. You have to start being present more than not. So your mind's gonna go drift off, but just bring it back. It'll drift, then bring it back. See? And you'll get in the practice of bringing your mind back to the present, back to the present. Don't be hard on yourself. There's no reason to be hard on yourself. You're practicing something, right? You're learning something. It's a process. Be kind. Love yourself. I mean, I can't stress this enough. And I know that it's like, yeah, well, how exactly do we do that, right? Because all our life we haven't, right? We have to practice. I mean, truly, it's practice. I stood in front of the mirror many, many times. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'd stand and I'd look at my face and inside into my eyes and try to look into my soul and just go, okay, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. So I was trying so hard. I would just stand there and, I'd look deep in my eyes. And, okay, I know it's in there somewhere, right? I tried so hard. And then one day I realized, let it go. Just let the things that you think you're not good enough about go. Because you are good enough. Start doing what's right for you, not what's right for someone else. Do you understand what I mean by that?
That takes a little bit of work because you got to know what's right for yourself. And that means you have to know you've got to forgive yourself and love yourself.
Here's the thing. If you listen to your heart, okay? If you listen to your heart, quiet the mind, and listen to the heart. 100% of the time it will guide you. It guides you. But we're busy in here, not here. This will guide you. And then the more you listen to your heart, the more you're going to love yourself. See, it's a dual thing that goes on. But you have to just feel it inside. Like we all have this. And what I'm speaking of is like you'll be there and your people call it the gut instinct, right? Mm-hmm. It'll tell you, don't do that. And you're like, oh, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. Right? And then after you do it, you're like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Right?
Unfortunately, I've heard those words before.
That's right. This is your heart. This is your soul guiding you, guiding you. This is truth. I'm speaking truth, right? I know because I've done it, right? I went through many times. I was like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that, right? Now I listen. I'm listening to my heart. What is my heart? What is my soul telling me? It will guide you 100% of the time. No question. So if you do that, then you don't have to go back and go, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You've been practicing the wrong thing all your life. It's okay. Now you're going to start practicing the right thing, the right view. Funny how these things are just going, right? But it's true. The right view. What's the right view? Telling yourself the truth, being kind to yourself, listening to your heart.
Yeah. I can see it the other way too, because sometimes you know what you should do and then you don't do it.
That's right.
And then you're like beating yourself. Why didn't I do it? I know I should have.
That's exactly right. It goes both ways. Yes.
I know for me, it's like, I'll hear and I'm like, I shouldn't do that. And I'll either let somebody coax me out of it, or I won't have enough confidence in myself to be like, is that really what that is?
Yeah.
And I like overthink it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as I'm like growing and everything like that, like when I'm like at this, I'm like, no, I can't do it. I can't do that. Or I need to go and do this.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like I need to speak up for myself.
So the more you practice it, the more it will become strong inside of you, right? Like it will start being where you hear it and boom, like that. There's no like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to debate it inside yourself, because that's what you'll do at first. You'll start a debate inside yourself, right? Well, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Is that really and you'll have this whole conversation with yourself, and then you'll do what you knew you shouldn't have done, or you don't do what you knew you should have done, and then you'll be like, I knew I shouldn't have done. So start when it tells you that. Don't question, because it's coming to you for a reason, right? It's coming to you. So use that. This is your guide inside of yourself. And we all have it. We've just toned it down because in our life, we've decided that we're not good enough and somebody else knows more than we do. That's not a truth. That's not a truth. You know inside yourself 100% of the time. It's just we don't listen 100% of the time, right? And so when you don't listen, move on. Forgive yourself. Okay, next time I'll know, right? This is teaching. You're teaching yourself. This really, if you look at it like this, then there's no beating yourself up. Stop bullying yourself. No reason.
Yeah. Well, so it's like with the kids, I keep going back to that because
It's okay, yeah.
I projected my insecurities on them.
Yes.
And I was like, oh. And I realized this evening, we're always sitting here, and I was like, oh. And I could have been like, oh, that's terrible. I can't believe you did that. But instead, I was like, you know what? Okay.
Yeah.
So
At
I'm
least,
good.
you
All right,
recognize it.
All
It's
right.
beautiful.
Okay, you did that. Stop.
Right? It's okay. See, the beautiful thing is when you recognize it, when you see it, and you're like, oh, that's what it is. So now you can fix it. You can do it right the next time instead of doing it the other way, right? You can do that. If you just don't bully yourself, just be like, oh, okay, I see it now. That's what it was. Okay, I got it, right? Because that's how you grow. That's what this is all about. Growth inside of yourself so you can be at peace and have just balance and not be whoo, 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 right? We're like on a roller coaster ride and it's not a fun one, right?
No.
It's like, why am I keep going back here? Well, you don't have to. You got to train your mind to think in a different way. That's all it is. We're teaching ourselves not to think in the negative. But really, I'm going to say that everybody should stop watching the news. If you watch the news, don't watch the news. You know, if you watch any TV that you watch, you're going to catch a commercial that tells you you're not good enough. You know, any commercial on TV, just about, oh, we got this drug to make you be able to do
it's not
this.
even just TV. Any apps you have on your phone.
Yeah.
This new beauty product, you can try it for free.
Yes.
Because you need it, because your face does not look right.
Right. You know, and the more we understand this, then we can just be like, that's not a truth. Right? That's not a truth. We're all beautiful. We're all beautiful. Oh my goodness. If you guys could see what I see, it's beauty. You know? And I look forward to the day where you can come in and be like, yeah, I'm loving myself. I'm loving myself. Because that's the ultimate, right? That is where you create balance in your life, is when you learn to accept yourself the way you are. What time is it? Because I lose track of time. Y'all know that. I just go on and chatter, and then I lose it. And so, all right. So we could do a meditation. How about that? Let's first of all get in our minds that we're going to forgive ourselves for anything that we have suffered over this week. How about that? Let's forgive ourselves for anything we have suffered over this week. And we're going to bring in loving kindness, and we're going to love ourselves and be kind to ourselves. So let's do the Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Sa ke game jarupe karisikaradate jandharike uimane ti perate jakame taruana akame ke awatu ike ete Puma Jayantu Diwa Shalatala Visananyaka Kantapananta Didanta Shantikeyam Muniwana Wachanang Sata Ume Sunantu Dhamma Savanagalo Ayam Pantam Dana Dhamma Savanagalo Ayam Pantam Dhamma Savanagalo Ayam Pantanta mudita. Karuna Jeto Vimutia Mudita Jeto Vimutia Ubeka Jeto Vimutia. Okay. How is everyone? Good? A lot of forgiveness going on? Loving yourselves tonight? Okay, good. Good. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you have all the love and kindness in your heart for yourself. Adu.